Hello, everybody. We are here today talking about menopause, the menopause experience, and how it can be positive, even though it's perceived to be so negative. So many awful things happen. In the latest survey we did, we found that on 1,100 women, 96% of them said they felt that they were unprepared for menopause, and 2/3 of them felt robbed of life as they knew it. So it can be a very depressing time of life, and things can go very pear-shaped. But if you learn how to meet your needs, you can have almost a rebirth. You can feel better than you can remember. You can be the best version of yourself. And I'm joined today by Danielle, who will be telling us about her story. So first of all, Danielle, thank you so much for coming and sharing your story. And just to kind of cast our minds back a bit, if you could set the scene of how you were when we met up and you decided that you needed some help. What was happening in your world?
Okay, well, I guess it all started back when I was heavily pregnant with twins and grew enormous as a result. And then post having my children, and when they're a bit older, I started bleeding very, very heavily and had enormous fibroids. And I was commuting to work on the M25 every day, 75 miles there and 75 miles back. And I was in agony, very tired, not getting enough sleep. I had joint aches and pains and headaches, feeling very sluggish, lots and lots of brain fog. And I just couldn't function. I was literally like an automaton. I knew that I had to put one step in front of the other, but I just wasn't functioning. I just couldn't. And then you and I met, and I did your program.
Didn't you, just before that?
Yeah, I did. I had a hysterectomy, and within 2 or 3 weeks of having had my hysterectomy, my menopause kicked in. And
no warning, presumably.
No warning. No, honestly, within 2 weeks, I started with the hot flushes. Yes, I was relieved not to be bleeding anymore, but suddenly the brain fog wasn't getting, I suddenly started to feel very, very, very hot. And then within a few weeks, my joints started to ache. And I had thought, oh, yay, I'm having a hysterectomy. Everything will be back to normal. No, it bloody wasn't. And I really was hurting and I couldn't get out of bed and the same old thing. And I just thought, is there no end to this? And it actually gets you down. It's quite depressing. And I just became another version of myself, And I think I said before that I felt, I'm going to be 60 this year. When I did the program, I was about 57 and I felt about 80. I felt so slow and sluggish and I just couldn't function. I was falling asleep at my desk and,
Well, that couldn't have been good work. How did that go down with your team at work? How did you cope with that?
Well, the thing is, you don't say anything, do you? You pretend everything's okay. I mean, that's me. I don't know if everybody does that, but it's not something that I could talk. My bosses were men. They didn't know what it was. I mean, even if I told them I was, couldn't function because of menopause, they would have said, just get on with it. They wouldn't have had a flipping clue about what was going on, and no empathy or sympathy towards me about any symptoms like that at all. And other women I was working with were going through similar things, but they were always saying, oh, it's the menopause, we just have to live with it.
Right.
Well, I wasn't willing to just live with it.
And
I needed to find a solution.
You were about to get married as well, so that was obviously
that was the incentive. That was the incentive.
Who wants to get married when you feel so rubbish?
Exactly. You just want to, you want to have a really lovely day. And very luckily, I met you and did the program, and just at the right time. And it did change my life. It did, honestly. I now feel, I'm going to the gym 3 times a week now, and I've got bags more energy than I had. My joints don't ache as much as they did at all, and my brain fog has cleared and I can see clearly and think clearly. So it did change my life. It really did. And
And you've
I'm
been
so
able to,
glad I did it.
yeah, I'm so glad you did too, because you've been able to reinvent yourself and you do some of the most beautiful art. And I love seeing all your things on social media. So your life is completely different for you now, isn't it?
Very much so. I think what's important is that I've now found who I am again. I found me again, and I'm able to look out. So before, I think when you have all those menopausal symptoms, you can't look out because everything is hurting you now, here and now, and you're looking within all the time and internalizing everything. What this program enabled me to do was look out, find me again, find myself again. So
yeah, I think it's really brilliant.
wonderful.
I mean, in 2019, Forbes said that menopause is actually costing, lost productivity associated with menopause is costing $810 billion globally each year. And obviously, I don't think companies really realize that they're not just losing talent, but that people that are turning up for work are really not being that productive. I know our survey of 1,000 women in the workplace showed that 84% of them felt that their productivity and efficiency was affected for more than 8 days a month. And so rather than just paying lip service in the workplace and giving women an M badge and more flexible working hours, it would be so much better if the workplace came to the party and just invested a bit in the female workforce to help them get through this naturally. And it is, everything we do is based on published medical research, but it's natural, so it doesn't involve taking any drugs or hormones. So was that something that resonated more with you?
Yeah, absolutely. I'd always been of the opinion, and I still am, and always have been my whole life anyway, that I would rather do things naturally. And so I personally decided that HRT wasn't the route I wanted to go down. I had seen my GP about my symptoms, and they actually wanted to put me on antidepressants, which, as I understand, is actually quite common. And I was shocked and surprised, and also have learnt since that GPs get very, very little training in how to deal with menopause. And I don't understand why, because how many women are there now, especially who are going through menopause that we never did before? It's really, I was shocked. And HRT is something, I know a lot of women do go on HRT, but it's just personally something I wasn't willing to do, and I wanted to deal with it naturally. And this has dealt with it naturally, and I have not had to have HRT, so I'm delighted.
I think, and the other thing too is that most people don't realize that even if you do take hormone therapy, it's not going to correct the nutritional deficiencies that billions of women, the research shows that billions of women have got nutritional deficiencies that affects their brain chemistry as well as their hormone function. So you end up firing on two cylinders. You're a bit like a bucket with a hole in it, especially if you've had babies and breastfed. You're running on empty. And unless you have what I call a midlife refuel, then you're not going to feel well again, and you're not going to be productive or be able to show up as the best version of yourself, especially in the workplace. And it seems so awful that when women have worked so hard to be equal to men in the workplace, that suddenly they fall over because of their hormones. And that's not right.
No, really sad. There's something else I forgot to mention, actually, that I've always wanted to learn French, because I found that I have some French siblings I didn't know existed, and I would like to converse with them in French. So I've started to learn French. But I tried a few years ago, and the brain fog stopped me doing it. I couldn't. Nothing was being retained. But now I've been doing it for about 3 months, every single day, and I'm retaining the information. And I do put it down to this clarity of thought, to the brain fog lifting. I just couldn't do it before. And what does that say about how much one takes in at work?
Yes.
As well. So, that's just one example of many, where you would sit in a meeting at work and you could come out of that room and think, what's just been said? Nothing's been retained.
No, and there was a survey last year showing that 1 in 4 women are either leaving the workplace or thinking of leaving the workplace, and it costs so much to replace experienced talent, where you can't really get the experience. And also, especially in the UK, that this age group is the fastest growing sector in the workplace. And so when women are being expected to work into their late 60s and 70s,
exactly.
if you're not it's not going to get better after menopause. In fact, I was talking in my midlife refuel club last night. Somebody said, "Oh, I can't wait for all this to end." And I said, well, it's not going to magically end, because if you've got empty estrogen receptor sites after menopause, when your ovaries are not producing estrogen anymore, and you've got low levels of nutrients, it's not magically going to feel better.
No.
I have patients in their 70s who are still suffering. So I think people need to learn to meet their needs. How do you feel it made having the midlife refuel? What difference did it make to you?
Well, the thing is, it's got my nutrient levels in balance. So, where I used to have joint pains before, headaches, and wasn't sleeping, hot flushes, and all the other symptoms that go along with menopause, I don't have those symptoms to just such an nth degree that I did then. And it just means that you can function normally. And like I said before, I was feeling 80 years old, and I now feel about 45. I do feel that I have bags more energy. And I'm not just saying that, I really do. I can get up at 6, 7 in the morning, and I'm off and away doing stuff. And I can go probably till 2 or 3 in the afternoon. I've got to remember to eat. If I don't eat, then, I flag a bit. But it's as long as you stick to it, and you stick to,
Yeah, it's not magic, but you have to nurture yourself, don't you, really? But I think the thing is having the knowledge. And because so few doctors have got the information, I mean, in America, for example, the Mayo Clinic survey showed that only 7% of doctors and gynecologists feel adequately educated to help women going through menopause, which is ridiculous. Do you know, as you said, we represent half the population, just over half the population. Every woman, I think by 2025, they reckon 1 billion women globally are going to be going through menopause. Why aren't people coming to help? So that you just have this refuel, and then you can get on with the rest of your life. It just defies them.
Exactly
anyway,
right.
It is possible, and I'm so delighted that you've come to tell your story today. I mean, is there anything you particularly like to leave other people with, either people in the workplace or other women with, because it's made such a marked difference to your life, hasn't it? And your
really has.
To enjoy life.
It's really changed it, and I would seriously tell people, please invest in yourself. And that it's not the end of the world. It can turn around and change your life, because you're taking the supplements, you're getting the sleep you needed, you're eating properly, you're exercising, and you're doing all the things one should do to live a happy and fulfilled life. And it is possible.
Yes.
And it's not a la-di-da statement. It is actually true.
Yeah. And it's lovely. I love seeing women like you blossom. Do you know, go from feeling that life is over, which we know in our surveys that, 2/3 of women say they feel robbed of life as they knew it. It doesn't have to be that way, does it? It can be a whole new, sparkling beginning.
Yeah, you can fly again.
Excellent.
Yeah, it's lovely.
Thank you so much for joining me, and I look forward to hearing more about your lovely art and all your progress as life goes on.
Thanks so much, and thank you for you. Thank you for helping.
Oh, my pleasure. Bye-bye.
Cheers.
Brilliant.